Buffy the Vampire Slayer was never just another teen supernatural drama. It was a genre-defining series that blended witty dialogue, emotional depth, horror tropes, and feminist storytelling long before such things were common on TV. But even among its many standout episodes, one installment still leaves fans and critics in awe decades later: Season 4's Hush. At first glance, Hush looks like a high-concept risk. Nearly 30 minutes of the 44-minute episode are completely without dialogue. In a show famed for its sharp, fast-paced banter, this sudden silence could have been a disaster. Instead, it turned into one of television's most unforgettable experiments in visual storytelling. The silence was the point. Creator Joss Whedon reportedly wrote Hush after hearing that Buffy's popularity stemmed from its dialogue. Challenged by the idea, Whedon set out to prove that silence could be just as powerful. In doing so, he tapped into an elemental fear: the inability to speak or scream in the face of horror. The plot revolves around the arrival of the Gentlemen, ghastly, grinning fairy tale monsters who glide eerily through Sunnydale, stealing hearts and voices. The sudden muteness forces Buffy, Giles, Willow, and the rest of the Scooby Gang to confront not just the villains, but their own communication breakdowns. Ironically, the episode's silence allows the characters to finally say what they truly feel. The Gentlemen, a nightmare made flesh. Terrifying yet elegantly designed, the Gentlemen are arguably the creepiest villains in the entire Buffy canon. Whedon drew inspiration from silent film villains like Nosferatu, adding a layer of polite cruelty with their Victorian-era attire, metallic smiles, and slow, ceremonial violence. Played by performers known for physical precision such as Doug Jones, the Gentlemen don't speak or even walk. Instead, they float, smile, and dissect their victims with almost surgical calm. The contrast between their eerie grace and the silent agony of their victims is what makes them unforgettable. Every aspect of the Gentlemen's design was crafted for maximum psychological impact, from their corpse-like makeup and elongated limbs to their silent clapping after each successful heart theft. The lack of sound didn't lessen their menace. It amplified it. Inventive visual storytelling. What makes Hush so remarkable isn't just the absence of dialogue. It's how well the episode uses every other tool in the cinematic playbook. The direction shifts from typical two-shots to creative visual compositions that rely on exaggerated facial expressions, body language, and ambient cues. Jokes are visual, such as Buffy's awkward miming of staking vampires or Giles' cartoonish slideshow presentation of the threat at hand. Meanwhile, the score becomes a vital narrative tool, filling in emotional gaps normally carried by speech. The episode balances terror with comedy and even romance, particularly in the developing relationship between Willow and Tara, who share their first meaningful connection without a single word. The real monster was miscommunication. Hush is more than a stylistic experiment. Its deeper theme centers around how often people fail to communicate, even when they have the ability to speak. Before the town falls silent, Buffy and Riley struggle to express their growing romantic feelings due to half-truths and awkward pauses. Xander can't articulate his love for Anya. Willow feels like an outsider in her Wiccan group. All of them find greater clarity in silence. Once the voices are restored, these characters ironically find it even harder to speak. In the final scene, Buffy and Riley sit together, finally able to talk, but the silence lingers. Words, as Whedon suggests, can be limiting, divisive, or even misleading. Legacy of a genre-bending episode. Hush went on to earn an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Writing, a rare feat for a genre series. It inspired countless other television episodes that experimented with silence, from Doctor Who's Midnight to BoJack Horseman's nearly dialogue-free Fish Out of Water. But none have captured the magic quite like Buffy did. Over 20 years later, Hush stands as a perfect example of how bold, boundary-pushing storytelling can elevate genre television. It dared to challenge the conventions of network TV, and won. By stripping away the words, Buffy the Vampire Slayer found one of its most powerful voice.